This would have taken me hours, but again, just by dragging the slider, look at all the glare in the glasses. If I drag it to the right, it is gone. Today's video is brought to you by Evoto AI, and I'm going to be running through some common editing tasks that I've been running through Evoto. I've been using it for a while, so when they reached out and said they want to sponsor this video, I was pretty much excited because this is a software that I've already been using. If you can tell from my screen, I've used it to retouch some images that I've even given to clients, and that is what Evoto is also about. So if you're someone who is dealing with multiple photos every day and you don't want to be retouching each image, working on the skin defects, cleaning a ton of backdrops, removing things like glass glare, and having to do this multiple times over a number of images, then I think Evoto is going to be the app for you. So let's jump right into it and then explore the software and see what it can do for our images. There's also a brand new feature, which is the color matching feature that I haven't tried out yet. So this is going to be the first time that I'm experiencing the color matching to see how effective it is. I know color matching is already in Capture One, but I didn't really like the way it was working. So let's just see what Evoto does, and since this is more of an AI-based retouching software, then I think it's going to be a little bit better. But again, I've not tried it yet. This is going to be the first time that we are trying it out, so let's see how it performs. I'm going to have to create a new project, and let me call this YouTube tests and hit on save. So this is going to create a new project, and it's going to ask us if we want to import images or folders, or if we're working in Lightroom. You can also import your Lightroom card over here. You can also do tethered shooting, but it's something that I haven't really explored. I still love using Capture One, but let me just go ahead and see what this looks like. So I'm going to click on import images or folders, and I'm going to look for where my assets are because that's what I want to work with today. And then I'm going to click on open. So this is going to be a mix of raw files and JPEGs because I'm going to be using this for all of the demos I'm going to be running today. So this is the interface that you're greeted with. You have your images that you've uploaded down at the bottom left, and when you click, it's going to be cycling through all of them. This is actually a recent image that I shot. The BTS is not out yet, but I'm hoping after this I can work on the video and then put it out. It's one of my favorite images, and this is something that I did a little bit of coloring in Capture One, and I'm going to be matching it to this to see how the color matching inside Evoto really works. Okay. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you guys is going to be doing things like removing blemishes of the skin and also removing the glare in the glasses. So over here you can see that we do have, even though he has good skin, we do have some blemishes on his skin, and then obviously if you look inside the glasses, we do have some glare. Evoto has different tabs that you can cycle through. So over here is the color tab, and when you click on that you can see color adjustment. So this is where every slider, every tool related to your color adjustment is going to be. Then you go to the retouching portion where you have portrait retouching. So everything in relation to portrait retouching is also going to be here. And then the next tab is going to be concerning your background adjustment. So if you want to do, your background change or sky replacements, or if you want to edit a solid backdrop, like clean it up a little bit, this is the tab you're going to be looking for. You also have de-wrinkle, where if you have like wrinkles in the clothes, you can easily get rid of that. And I'm actually also paying for Evoto, so this is not like a software that I'm just advertising to you guys. I actually pay for it and I use it when needed, especially for some specific retouching purposes. Now, this is also not aimed at people who do not have any idea on retouching, because if you leave the AI app as it is, it's just going to be doing what it thinks is best. But if you have an idea on retouching, if you have a certain look that you want to achieve, then this just makes it a little bit easier instead of having to manually learn the tools in Photoshop for retouching. This is just a matter of moving sliders up and down, but you being able to exercise some level of creativity and self-control, because these sliders, again, they don't know how tasking or how demanding the effect you want is going to be, so they tend to overdo it, and it's up to you to exercise some self-control and then use it at moderate levels, or use it in moderation so that your images don't come out as over processed. Because that's one thing I've noticed, that it's very easy for your images to look a little bit over processed if you don't control the tools. Again, this is also just a tool, so you as an individual are supposed to add your creativity, your input, and a little bit of self-control to be able to make sure that the images look exactly as you want. In the next tab, you can do some cropping and all of that, but again, I don't do a lot of these things here in Evoto. And then if you want to connect the camera for tethering, this is where you can do it. So let's start off with our retouching. So over here, let me just zoom into his face a little bit, right? This is also a raw file that I imported. So if you look at the top, this is where the name of the file is going to be. And over here, they've written .cr3. So this obviously is a raw file. All right. So the first thing I want to do is remove some freckles and acne from his face. And just by dragging the slider all the way to 100%, you can see how it looks, right? So this is before, this is after, before, after, and this is even just with one slider. If I zoom in all the way, you can still see that we do see some skin texture on the skin. We do see some pores. It's not overdone it, but again, I don't like to overdo things when I'm using any AI software. It's not just Evoto. If I'm using any AI plugin, I tend not to use it at its maximum. So maybe I'll just bring it down to about 25%, and this just preserves a little bit of the realistic nature of the lighting that was hitting his face, right? So again, this is 100%. This is about 22 to, let's say, let me do 30% and see what it looks like. This is amazing. So before, after, all right. Now, what I'm also going to do is from there, if there are any moles on his face, you can just click on that and it will get rid of it. But we don't have any moles, but I can still click on it to see what it does. Now, in case you shot someone who has like oily skin or a very reflective skin, you can always just slide this all the way and it's going to remove the face shine. But again, we don't have that. If there are dark circles in your portrait and you want to remove it, you can also just drag the slider to the right. And as you can see, it's gotten rid of the dark circles under his eyes. So let me just zoom in. So this is without me dragging the slider, and this is me dragging it all the way to 100%. But remember, I don't like to keep things at 100, so I'm just going to bring it down a little bit to about 58%. Now, this is where the magic is. I was talking about the glass glare removal. Now, you can see that you can see my legs. You can see a bit of the light and the reflections in the background in the glasses. But if I drag this all the way to 100%, it is gone. And this is the main reason why I love to use Evoto, because if I had to do this inside Photoshop with my pen and the Wacom, this would have taken me hours. But again, just by dragging the slider, look at all the glare in the glasses. If I drag it to the right, it is gone and it still looks amazing. If I zoom out, you can see that this has done amazing. I don't know how they do it, but whatever they're doing is just working. If there are also eye bags, this is where you can just get rid of the eye bags. Again, I don't like to overdo these things. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. This is where if you want to brush out the lower eyelids, you can do the same. But again, I'm just not going to do this. So maybe just keep it up here. Now, if there are any wrinkles or flakes on the lips, you can also do that. So let me drag this. You can see how it's smoothing out the wrinkles on the lips. But let me just tone that down. And if you also have a portrait where there is a double chin, you can just drag this and it's going to hide that just by darkening the chin or draw less attention to the double chin, making it look like you're cinching or working or reducing the double chin in your image. If your portrait also has smile lines, you can just do that by dragging the slider. And again, just go through all of these things once you get it and figure out what is actually wrong with your portrait that you want to fix. And I'm sure there's going to be a slider for that. There's even an armpit touch-up slider over here and it works amazing. We'll see that in some of the other images when we get there as well. You also have facial expression that you can edit. If there are teeth in there, you can work on the teeth. You can edit the face shape as well. And if you want to undo anything, just click on the back arrow and it's going to undo any adjustments that you made. There's also a portion for makeup. So if I'm working on a female, we'll get there, where if you want to enhance the makeup, you can do that. But I'm going to do that in this particular portrait. If I also want to add more volume to the top part of the hair, I can also drag this to the right and you can see it's just growing out his hair some more. So if I want the afro to be really big, this is where I can do that. And all of this is just working with the slider, which is really, really amazing. If you want to work on the hands, let's say he has a lot of veins on the hands. Let me actually just scroll down and see if I'll see anything. Okay, he does have some veins on the hand, so let's test it out. If I drag all the way to the right, you can see that it's removed all of the veins from their hands, and that's amazing. Again, I'm not going to do 100% because people have veins on their hands. I have veins on my hands, so it's not too bad if you can see some veins. Obviously, this is a little bit too much, so maybe like some 50%. And we have a little bit of veins, but it's not really affecting the shot. All right, now let's just say this is what I am happy with, right? I've made my adjustments, you know, I've fixed the skin, I've done all of that. I can decide to go into color, and this is where we can play with some of the coloring that we want in the image. For example, if I want to make it warmer, I can do that. If I want to play with individual colors, maybe increase the contrast, you know, remove or reduce the highlights. I can increase the vibrance a little bit. Again, because it was a raw file, I have to make these adjustments, and then I can increase the saturation just a little bit. So this is just bringing in some color back into the portrait. You also have curves, you know, color grading, where you can play with the midtones, the highlights. You have all of that inside Evoto. You can add grain if you want. You can also play with some color calibration. This is something I do a lot with Capture One. So for example, if there are any green colors and I want to adjust it, maybe when I shot the image, it was looking a little bit more on the green side because of my white balance, I can just adjust it by warming up the greens a little bit. I can also desaturate the greens or increase the saturation. You have all of that flexibility here. So you can just play with it, you know, the primary colors in your image, just to fine tune it and get exactly what you want. So this is more of a fuller version of the tight one that we edited, right? What I want to do, instead of starting all over again, is I can just hit Command C, and it's going to ask me what I want to sync or the things I want to copy, right? So I'm just going to hit on save, and when I click on this next image, all I do is Command V, and it's going to apply all of the adjustments that I made onto the image. Now, because we're in the color tab, that is all we see. But if we go to the portrait retouching portion, now you get to see that it has also updated the glass glare removal that we did. So every adjustment that we made in the previous image is going to apply it onto the image that you're currently working on, right? So if I do it before and after, you'd see that the glasses did have some glare. The hair has also grown up. All the adjustments that we made is also very, very evident in this particular one. The skin has been retouched a bit. You know, we also reduced the double chin. We've adjusted the colors a little bit by increasing contrast. You know, also let's look at the veins on the hands as well. If I do it before and after, you can see that the veins were prominent, and now it's not as prominent. So this is one of the things I also love with Evoto, where if you spend so much time, you know, adjusting it in one image, you can simply click on the next image and then sync your adjustments, and everything is copied from that image onto your next image. Now, because it's also a fuller image, we do see that we have, you know, some dirt in the backdrop, and if we want to clean that, this is where our backdrop adjustment also comes in clutch. So if we have any distractions, we can click on it, and obviously it says no distractions, but what I like to do is just come in here and manually select distractions, just in case there are some distractions in the image. It will clean that for me. But the most important thing is, because of these dirt marks that we have in the image, if I click on clean backdrop, you can see that with just a click, we've been able to clean our backdrop. And this is it before, and this is after. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see. So this is before and after, before and after. Now, even though I did mention earlier that I have paid for my Evoto, because I am now applying adjustments on my image, you can see clearly that we do have the image being watermarked with the Evoto logo. But trust me, once you're done and you're settled and you're exporting, there isn't going to be the logo on the image unless you've not paid for Evoto. Then the logo is going to be on the image that you're exporting. But once you've paid for it, once you export, there's no logo on the image. I know sometimes a little bit distracting, but again, this is what we have to deal with. This is our next image, right? This is also a raw file, but again, because it's also a fuller image and we still want to, you know, clean, you know, some of the skin imperfections, we want to make a few adjustments to the image, add contrast, increase saturation, clean up the backdrop. I can go over to this image, which was fuller and similar to the one that we just worked on, and hit Command C, and it's going to copy the current effect. And then when I come on to my image I'm currently about to work on and hit Command V, it's going to apply the adjustments to the image. And when I zoom in to the backdrop especially and do it before and after, you can see that we've cleaned the backdrop as well. You can also see that we've increased the contrast, added saturation. All the adjustments that we've made to our previous image obviously has been applied to this image as well. So if I do it before and after again, before, after, before, after. Maybe for this particular image, again, hair problems are going to be unique to her, so we can go back into the portrait and then we can make a few more adjustments. So for example, you can also see that it's selected here as a female, but if I go to the other image, you see that it's selected male. So it's also able to identify, you know, the person in your image, if it's a male or female, and then adjust the settings based on who you're working on. Again, it's moved to a female because it was able to identify that it was a female that was in the image. Now for this one, I want to remove her necklines, right? So once I'm in the retouch over here, what I can do is, let me just turn this on a little bit. Remove this. Let's reduce the face shine. As I mentioned earlier, you can see that we do have some face shine. So this is without, and this is all the way to 100%. It's gotten rid of the face shine, but I like a bit of shine in my images, so I'm just gonna move that here. If we have dark circles, we can adjust that. Eye bags, we can do the same. So over here we have the neck wrinkles. So if I just drag this all the way, you can see that it's gotten rid of the necklines that were in the image. Again, I don't want it to be at 100%, so I can just bring it down a little bit. Somewhere here will be more preferable to me. So if I was just doing a quick edit and I wanted to fix this image or this portrait really quickly, this is something that I can easily do. Now, if you also remember that we had some full body reshape, this is where you can make your adjustments to her entire body. Let's say her waist, right? I want to drag the left in a little bit. I can just do that, right? If I want to make her hips wider, I can also do the same. And it's, you know, it's doing everything in moderation. Arms, if I want to make it, you know, I can do that. And if I want to make her taller as well, I can just do this and it's going to make it taller. So let me just zoom out a little bit. So if I just want, you know, in fashion, sometimes you want your people to look really tall. You can do that here in Evoto. But again, I'm not going to overdo that, but something like that looks good. So here's a before, here's an after, before, after. You can see we've been able to reshape the body and make some adjustments to the image really quickly. But here's the case if I was working on, you know, quite a number of images. Let's just say this is the adjustment that I like, right? I can just hit Command C and select all these images, hit Command V, and it's going to apply the adjustments onto the image. As you can see, it's loading the adjustments onto each image, and clearly we're, you know, able to see the changes that we've made onto the image. It just finished loading. If I zoom in, you should see that on the backdrop, we've been able to clean the backdrop easily. So if I do it before and after, it's still applying the contrast. It's thinking that this box is a distraction, so it's gotten rid of that. But again, this is just a quick demo for you guys to see how you can easily remove distractions. So if I uncheck that, it should bring that back. And yeah, if I do it before and after, it's cleaned the backdrop, it's cleaned the floor, it's brought all the adjustments that we made onto the image. What I want to move on to now is going to be color matching. So over here we have an image which is a raw file. It hasn't been edited. Over here is the same exact image, and it's a JPEG that I imported. I have these two images right here. One is a JPEG and the other is a raw file. You can tell by the size difference, and the name, this is CR3 and this is JPEG, right? So I did this coloring in Capture One, and I want to see if Evoto will be able to pick the colors in this image and apply it to the one right here. But before I go on, let me just go ahead and retouch this image the way I would if I was supposed to be doing like a full retouch inside Evoto. So I want to start off with my portrait retouching. Again, it's been able to identify that she's a female, and I want to remove any freckles and acne on her face. Again, I'm not going to go to 100%. I want to reduce the face shine just a little bit. I also want to remove some dark circles. And she doesn't have glasses. I can reduce the eye bags as well, reduce lip wrinkles, reduce the double chin. She doesn't have, but I just like to drag that because of how it shapes the face a little bit better. And again, I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to overdo it. I'm also going to scroll down. It says beard protection, even though she's a female, but yeah. We can remove some forehead wrinkles. We can also remove some eye wrinkles in case there are eye wrinkles. We can reduce the smile line in her face. And then let me just drag body blemish to about 50%. Neck wrinkles as well. Her stomach is not showing, so we can skip that. Now we can go into skin retouching, and this is where you can do some level of dodging and burning or even frequency separation. So let's just go ahead and see what we get with that. First off, I want to even with dodging and burning. If I drag it all the way to 100%, this is what it does. If I zoom in, you can see, let me do it before and after. So before, after, before, after. It's trying to keep the textures, it's trying to look realistic, but again, I don't like to do things at 100%, so you're gonna bring it down to about 27%. I'm also gonna sculpt a little bit more, and for that maybe I'll just increase it to about 50%. I'm kind of liking the way it looks. I'm gonna go into frequency separation, and I'm just gonna drag that up a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna bring it down to about 9%. I'm not gonna soften the skin because I think that if I do that, it makes it look a little bit artificial. I'm also going to reduce the facial skin some more, so it's not too evident that we're making adjustments like that. And now for the body skin, if I want to add some frequency separation, I can do that as well. That I can leave at 32%, or maybe just bring it to 26. Now if I want to play with her skin tone, I can choose colors like this. So over here you can see that I'm able to select, a skin tone, and I can make adjustments to it, right? These are presets that Evoto AI is making available to you, but I'm not going to be doing that just yet because again, I've already color graded and I'm going to match the color grading with the other image that I have. But this is just for you guys to see that it's possible to do that. You can also unify the complexion in your image just by dragging the slider. You can drag, and it's going to try and match the complexion from the face to the rest of the body. But again, I'm not going to do that because we have the color grading from the other image that we're going to use. You have rosy complexion. There are so many adjustments that you can make. I want to reduce the veins on the hands a little bit, just like that. And I think I'm pretty much done with the retouching. I love the way it looks. Let's just go back onto our color tab, and inside our color tab, this is where you see your AI color adjustment. So if you click on, if you just hover over this, you'd see upload references or use preview to create a reference. So I can click on this image right here, go over here, and then use preview to create a preference. All right, you can read the guidelines later if you want, and then click on got it. All right, so it says it's generating the image that is going to be used as my reference. Right, this is the first time I'm using it, that's why there's all this pop-up. Now if I want to match this image to our reference image, once I have selected this image, which is the one that I want to match, all I have to do is now click on the reference, and you can see that it says color match applied. Right, I understand, again, this is the first time I'm using it, so you can see that it's now taking a while to adjust. Now that we've been able to do this, to be honest, the colors look pretty similar, right? So this is the original image. I'm zooming in and out because this is a JPEG and the file is way smaller than the raw file, but look at the colors here. And if I click on the image that we just adjusted, the colors look a lot similar. It's actually even the same, right? But you also have some options. You can decide to reduce the amount just by dragging this all the way to the left. So let's say you've been able to get the color matching the way you want, but you don't want it to be so strong. Obviously, you can just drag a little bit. Something like this can work, or 100%, and it's going to match it. But again, I just like to maybe keep it somewhere around here. And to me, I think this is actually okay. If I click on this icon right here, now we even have more tools available to us. So not only can we adjust the amount, as in the intensity of the color matching, but we can also adjust the tone. So if I don't want the tone to be present in the entirety of the image, I can do that here. If I don't want the color to be as prominent, I can also reduce that over here. Then you also have masking. So if you're masking, it means that you want the colors either to apply to certain parts of your image versus not applying to the entirety of the image. So let's just do a demo. Let me just increase this to 100% so that it's quite strong for us to see, the before and after, right? If I click on masking, Evoto AI does amazing when it comes to selections and selecting specific parts of an image. You have a ton of options available to you. If you want to select your background, you can do that, right? If you want to select a person in your frame, you can do that. And if you want to select portions of the person in your image, you can do that as well. So let's say I don't want this to apply to the face, maybe the color especially. If I want to drag the color out, I can do that, and you can see that it's taking the color out of the face, right? But let's just give it 100. Now, in case you want to select the entire person in your frame, you can do that. So if I click on the person, now if I start reducing the color, it's going to take out the color out of the person in the image. So this is what the masking does. It gives you a ton of control and flexibility in terms of what you want to do to your image, right? So now let's just look at another example. This is also a JPEG file and this is a RAW file, right? I'm not going to do the retouching here because I've done that retouching for us to see, but let's just say I love this color grading. Again, maybe this is an image I found online and I want to match it, but in this case, I'm the same person who shot this image. This is a RAW file and this is a color grading that I did, which I like, and I want to replicate this onto this image right here. Now if I go back to my looks, this is where now if I click on this image, it should process, pick the colors, and then try and match it to this image right here. As you can see, there isn't much of a difference between this is the reference file and this is the color grading. As you can see, this does a really good job at matching your colors, and I really love the way it looks. So this brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed, the overview of Evoto, but I just want to end the video again by saying that remember that Evoto AI is just a tool. Just like how you pick up your camera, dial in your settings before clicking, just like how you pick up your lighting, and your modifiers and position them in specific ways to capture the image that you want, or just like how you would, maybe color gel some of the images, pick a location for your shoots to suit the vision that you have in mind. Don't just upload your images into Evoto AI and drag the sliders all the way to 100% and expect that it will do a good job for you. No, you have to insert yourself into the program. You have to work with the program and then dial in the sliders till it's able to create the image that you want. But obviously there are certain things that I really love, like the color matching, the glare of the glasses that it removes in seconds, cleaning up backdrops, like removing creases and dirt. It just saves so much time. And again, just dialing in the frequency separation and dodging and burning, obviously to a level that looks realistic and believable, just helps speed up my workflow. And that's what I wanted to introduce you guys to. So let me know what you feel about this video, and if you want to get Evoto, I'm going to leave a link down below. Click on that. It's going to give you 30 free credits to start with, and it's only going to deduct the credits once you export. So you can upload as many images as you want, 100, 1,000, and play with all of the sliders till you master the software, but it's not going to charge you until you click on export. And even if you exported one image, so for example, I've exported this image right here, right, and then I come back and make adjustments again and I export, it's not going to charge me because it's the same image. Until I'm exporting a different image, no credits is going to be going out of the credits that I have. So yeah, that's how Evoto works. I'm pretty excited for my future offerings, and I will be breaking down some of these features and creating dedicated videos in the future. So if you're excited about it, let me know in the comments down below. And that's it for today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and remember, don't ever give up.